Hey everyone, John from Nintendo Life here for the final of this trilogy of videos.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's a big event. Let's applaud everyone. Come on. I should probably tell you what
Prepare
the
yourselves
event is.
for Final John.
So far, Alex and Xeon have done their videos on the best, worst Switch games they've done. And we kind of live in an era where everyone just plays the good stuff. Like, we don't just go to a shop anymore and pick up a game without researching it. There's so much information on social media and on websites like us that tell you what games to play. On one account, that's a good thing. It's great that we're not wasting our money. But on another account, we're all kind of playing the same stuff. And sometimes it's great to discover something that may not be as refined, but does something different that no other game really does. So all of us, Alex is one person here. Hey Alex, you're one of the people.
I am one of the people.
Xeon is also one of the people. Hey Xeon.
I'm a people. It's me, a people. I swear.
And if you want to hear any of these people's games, you can watch those videos, but we're going to do the final one. And we've actually discussed this game before on NintendoLife.com and the YouTube channel.
Oh my god, is it Halo Infinite?
Yeah, it's quite a divisive one. Some people think it... No, it's not Halo Infinite.
Most people don't even know it's on the Switch.
It's not Halo Infinite. It is another game, though. And Xeon will be very familiar with this one, because we actually covered it a few months ago. And it comes from the developers of Danganronpa and Zero Escape.
Oh, I know what it is. I'm pretty sure I have to know what this is, I think.
Go on, give it a shout.
It's World's End Club?
That's it.
Something like that. Oh, that
So,
one.
on Nintendo Life, we gave this a 5 out of 10, meaning it's average. And I don't think I disagree with that score, but I do think this game has a lot of value and offers something that's worth experiencing. So for those of you who've never seen this game before, it is basically a merge of Danganronpa and Zero Escape, and also the art is done by the head artist of Pokemon Sun and Moon. So the characters all look very vibrant and almost Hawaiian in a sense. It's a very cool style. But there's a demo out there on the eShop which contains the first chapter, but the first chapter is very misleading. So in the first chapter, it's basically this Danganronpa kind of a murder mystery where all these kids are killed off one by one. You don't know who to trust, and there's all these rules going on too. But it's kind of... It's something that's meant to be taking away from the main plot, because the main plot is something else entirely. So if you played the demo and thought, hey, this looks quite cool, that has no bearing on the rest of the game, unfortunately.
Just what a demo is designed to do.
Yeah, it's probably one of the worst demos in recent memory, to be honest. I enjoyed it, but it doesn't represent the game. So the rest of the game, rather than being this killing game, is more about teamwork and making your way through Japan with a group of friends. And in terms of story, I think this game is really charming, has a lot going for it. But when it comes to the gameplay itself, it's not great. So this started on Apple Arcade, and it's a platformer essentially, a puzzle platformer. And the physics are very, very floaty. You can tell they came from a mobile game. But I think it's worth persevering through the lesser moments to get to the story. And that's kind of the strength of these guys. Like Danganronpa and Zero Escape are primarily visual novels. Like they're all about story. And so to go to a platformer felt like a weird change of pace, and it didn't really pay off. But there is still a lot of good lingering in here. And Xeon, I know you played this game, or at least the demo yourself as well. Well, what were your kind of thoughts on just the pure quality of World's End Club?
I bought the game, like I pre-ordered the extra special edition, and I opened it right when it came in, and then I started hearing and seeing reviews and stuff, and saw that so many people were disappointed by the tone shift in the game. The fact that, like you said, I think that you hit it right on the head, that the demo it's like they tried to do like a Metal Gear Solid thing, like a Metal Gear Solid 2, where they threw off everyone's thought of what the game was gonna be. But I think everybody, it seems like, had this hope that it was going to be this big, murder mystery style game, I suppose, like Danganronpa and stuff. And then, so I ended up actually not playing it yet. I still have hopes and dreams of doing that someday, but I've never actually gotten to play more of the platforming segments. So I don't even, I do agree with you that the platforming is very floaty and kind of wonky. And I remember when I was playing the demo too, even hoping that the platforming's not going to be a big deal in this game. It's just, it can't be focused on this. So unfortunately, I don't really have more thoughts past the chapter 1. But I'm really glad to hear that you still think that there's a lot of worth to the game beyond that, because the art style and the characters are really lovable and have something, like, they're all so well designed and they're so unique. And I think the one cool thing I was noticing in the cutscenes, even in the beginning, was like they're often trying to give everybody something to say. So it's not like certain characters are just getting shoved aside and you know who the main 3 characters are or something like that. You know, everybody has a say in the game. And
It's
yeah,
the
so
Lord of the
I'm glad,
Rings.
yeah.
There you go.
I'm
that's
glad
what
to hear
it
that
is.
you're the Lord of the Rings of the Danganronpa universe. I mean, it is all these kids going on a big adventure, I guess. So
I mean, to be fair, it sounds a little bit like it may be veering slightly more towards The Hobbit.
Maybe.
yeah.
To the point of the cast, though, I think a big strength of Danganronpa is it's slowly killing off the cast, so you get very attached to specific people. Because you start off with this overwhelming group of people, you can't really get a relationship with any of them. But the more people die, the more you focus on the individuals. Whereas What Ends Club, it kind of does that at the start. Like, it kind of takes that formula where everyone's getting killed off and lets you get attached to certain people. But then the rest of the game, like, it turns out these people aren't dead. So you're spending the rest of the game with them.
What?
Yeah, no dead kids. And so you've got like a cast of
I'm
over
always
10
disappointed
characters.
when, it turns out that characters that I like and have been killed come back to life. I was livid when Gandalf came back.
Yeah, I find it when a lot of stories cheat death, it does feel very underwhelming. Like, I want a deserved death, like a good deserved death, and they just come back sometimes. It's like, you should have stayed dead. These characters, though, their deaths were very formulaic and part of the intro. So them living is fine, but that means the rest of the game, there's like 10, 11, 12 characters that you're just juggling back and forth between, and giving them all screen time isn't as easy as something like Danganronpa, because they're all one big group. But one way they do kind of elevate that, though, is every character has their own unique ability. So one character may throw things really hard, or one character may be able to turn to stone as one of their abilities. And that kind of accentuates their personality too, which is kind of cool. But yeah, as a whole, the story is great. I think if this were a visual novel, people would regard it on the same pedestal as like Zero Escape. But that's not what it is, and it kind of holds itself back from that. But it's still worth experiencing. So while I look at that 5 out of 10 and say that's quite low, I also think, yeah, I probably agree with it. It's a good game. It's got its merits. It's great that it exists, but it's just not a particularly fantastic game.
From the way you describe it, I think it sounds maybe like it's confused, like it doesn't quite know what it wants to be.
Yeah, totally. That is totally what it is. I think we even said that kind of thing in our preview, Xeon, where we kind of said, like, there's a lot of good stuff in here, but it keeps chasing its tail with all these other mechanics. And it doesn't quite pay off, but it is something that is still fun regardless, though.
Yeah, I remember in the demo, like, really having a lot of fun just kind of exploring the world that you're tossed into. And because I feel like what I've played of Danganronpa, like, the level designs aren't as detailed, I suppose, than in World's End Club. But, I also only played the demo, and I didn't have to do the platforming for the whole game since I didn't play the whole game. But I'm glad that they at least, made it an attempt, kind of like to echo kind of what you guys even said in the past videos, that they made an attempt to like do something different, and hopefully, they learn now that they're great writers, and maybe they can try a platformer again someday. But hopefully, yeah, they've learned some things from what they've done this time around.
Yeah. If anything, this game's just an example that a 5 out of 10 can still be good. Like, that's it's not a bad score, it's the middle, and there's still a lot of merit in there. So yeah, I enjoyed this 5.
I mean, tell me if I'm barking completely up the wrong tree, but there was something about the trailers and all the footage that I've seen that slightly reminded me of BioShock, only in setting. Is that justified, or am I looking for BioShock in something else?
If you played the demo, I can see how you get that vibe. But again, the demo does not represent the rest of the game, though. Yeah, it's kind of this underwater city.
That must be it. I'd forgotten that it was underwater, but now that you say it, it makes sense.
Yeah, so the demo's underwater, the rest of the game, above land, Tokyo. So, very different.
How
Yeah,
bizarre.
and the game does, like with the whole the hour-long demo or half an hour or whatever it was, is all entirely underwater as well. Like anybody who watches that, kind of like you, Alex, even if you caught a glimpse of a trailer or something, you would think that the game was underwater, and then nope. All wrong.
No.
I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed this more, because like I said, like I've had it sitting on the shelf for a while, and I've thought about like diving into it. I don't even know how long of a game it is either, but they're kind of like you said earlier, there's just so many great games out there to play that it kind of gets in the way. But I think I'm definitely going to try and make time to actually play more of this game as well. Just because if you liked it, I'm probably going to find something more to like in there as well. Even though that I already know I liked the characters at the very least.
On the flip side, though, if you enjoy, if you never touched 999, then play that. I mean, that's definitely the superior game. But if you've gone through the catalog of these artists and you want more from them, then absolutely give this a shot.
So if you were to score it, just you, Mr. John, if you were to give this a score out of 10, what would you give it?
I still agree with the 5. 5 seems fair for everything it doesn't do great. But there's a lot it does do great, though.
And people say we're not objective.
Indeed. But yeah, that's basically it for this game. There's not a whole lot more to say, because there's a lot of good in there, but there's also a lot of bad in there. And the bad does stick with you for the entire journey. There's no escaping the bad. But if you push through it, you will also enjoy a lot of good stuff.
Maybe that's the true horror, John. These games are always trying to be scary. Maybe the platforming is the thing that's constantly chasing you.
Maybe that's it. Maybe they thought that maybe having bad platforming mechanics would make the game scarier.
Exactly. I'll let you end this
fell
video
down
now.
a pit. Boo.
What will he do next?
What will he do next?
But if you enjoyed this, let us know in the comments below. If you've played World's End Club, and go that subscribe button and give it a nice demo, but then give it a different full game. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
World Ends With You, World's End Club, Danganronpa. I get them mixed up all the time. Am I right?
Doki Doki Literature Club, World's End Club, Famicom Detective Club. How many clubs are
all
there?
All the clubs. Golf clubs. I mix them up all the time.
When I googled this game, the automated, it wanted to autofill to World's End Pub, which suggests that maybe this hasn't had the impact it perhaps deserves.
And on that note, we're gonna go to the World's End Pub.
Like Simon Pegg.
Yeah.
That film was not as good as the others.
No, it was the disappointment of the trilogy. Are we keeping all this in?